Hey everybody, it's Matthew of Mr. Domestic, and in this video, I am going to show you how to make this reversible bucket hat. Look, boom, 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 reversible, da-da. It's got a little band on it if you want it. You can make it floppy, you can put some structure in it with some interfacing, but it's summer and I don't have hair on the top of my head, so I needed something to cover it up, which is why I decided to make this and then share it with all of you. So if that's what you're here for, before we get into the content, anytime you're enjoying it, make sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Now let's have some fun making this super duper cool reversible, boom, 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 bucket hat. So for this bucket hat, you need to print out this template. You can get it on my blog in the description below that I have on Brothers Stitching Social. And there's the top, the side, and if you choose to do a band, and then the brim. So you need 3 sheets of paper. And I have 3 different fabrics. This, and then this are going to go together. So this is going to be the main, and then this is going to be part of the brim. And then this one I'm going to do just by itself for a second one. These 2 are from Catch and Release. This is from my Love to Pieces. Then I'm using SF101. It's a medium woven fusible interfacing. I love this. I have like gobs and gobs of it on hand. And I'm going to interface all of the pieces for this one so that it's more stable. The one that I did on Brothers Stitching Social is more floppy. Just depends on which one that you want and the look and the feel and if you have interfacing handy. So through the magic of YouTube, I'm going to do all of this off camera, and when I come back, these are going to be interfaced and cut with this and ready to go. One more thing, I just wanted to point out that this template has 2 sizes. I'm making the larger size for my head, and the smaller one is a little big for Helena, but it could work if you wanted to use it for a kid. You could just trim off some of it or shave it. So I'd say this is for like a large size noggin, and this is for like a small size noggin, and if you have like a gigantic noggin, then you would just extend it. So I'm going to cut all these interfaces off. So now I have everything cut out. I only put interfacing on one of them, so this is the one that I chose to put interfacing on. This is not, you can consider this a lining, even though this is a reversible. And I'm not going to show you how to construct this because it's the same exact way as this, outside of adding this to it. So I have these 2 cut out. Put this to the side, put these 2 to the side. Now I just have these, and I have 2 of these. The first thing that you need to do is, ta-da, look what I did. Fold over the top part of this roughly at 1/4 inch. And then we're going to take one of these right here and just line the raw edge up on the bottom like this. And I'm going to use pins. Yeah, I'm using pins. Right here. Just pin it a few places like this. And then now I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine and edge stitch right here before I construct everything else. But we're going to stay there for a minute because we're going to put the pieces together. So after this is done on both of them, then I'm going to put these right sides together, sew up the side, and then I'm going to sew this. Sewing machine with here, I'm using a standard universal needle, and I have the same thread in the top and the bottom, so I don't have to worry about it. And I'm just going to edge stitch. And by edge stitch, that just means I'm going to stitch as close as I can right there without getting onto this. So now stitch length is 2.5. We go all the way down this length. And then before I move on to the other half, I'm going to base stitch the bottom so it's easier to maneuver. And so base stitch is just a longer stitch that you can take out. I'm increasing the length to 5. That way if it isn't hidden in the seam allowance, then I would remove it with ease. So essentially just tacking down that bottom so that it doesn't get floppy whenever I'm stitching the hat together. Let me show you. Oh, see, that's the top stitch you'll see, and then that's the longer stitch that comes out super duper easy. So I'm going to do the other one off camera, and then I'm going to stitch it all together. The next thing to do is to stitch these together, and you want to, for these that have this band on it, line it up right there toward there in alignment. And then the millimeter on top or bottom, if that's off, you won't notice it whenever you stitch it together. I'm doing all of this at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. That's one side. Once again, I'm going to line this right here like that, and then the second side. Now I'm going to take this over to my cutting mat and show you how I pin the top on before. So now for these, I only will clip in 4 places, and that's going to be on every quarter, but you need to measure them so it's precise. And so I'm just going to, finger pressing should do it. Right here. And then now follow this line to that. And then finger press here. Finger press here. And now I know where the 4 little points are there. And then here, I'm going to fold it in half. Right here. So this is where it's going. So make sure that that one is pinched. And then, did I get it on all of them? Yeah, so now I know where all 4 of them are. So this one right here, I'm going to just clip it. So line those up. Clip. Then line this one up. Clip. And then this one, you could alternatively, instead of finger pressing, use like a friction pen or a regular pen. You're not going to be able to see it. So there's one. And then here is the final one. And you could add more clips. Like here, 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 and here. But I have found if the pattern is correct, then if you use my technique on sewing curves that I'm going to show you, then you'll be totally good to go. So let's head back over to my sewing machine. Over at Felicia, and I've removed whatever that's called. And I'm going to start, I always start like a little bit shy of where the first clip is. And then I'm going to line it up here and just get that stitch started. And one other tip with sewing with curves is I have found it's always easier for the most part to have the convex curve on the bottom. The concave is the one like where there's a cave you go into, and the convex is the other one. I did a bad job showing you with my hand, but just trust me. So the circle's going to go at the bottom. And now I'm just going to go there, and now I'm going to flatten this out right here. And this should be fine, but what I do is I have my tweezers handy just to pull that there, and then you can manipulate like that. So use this to manipulate it, get it straight to the edge, and then all of the folds and everything will flatten out as long as the pattern is good, and this pattern's good. Trust me, folks. So I'll get you through another curve before I fast forward. So here we are again. So now what I'm doing is just flattening out this circle. And then let me get my clip for my, what are these called? Tweezers. And then get started sewing. And when you're sewing curves or things that are cut on the bias, you don't want to pull it beyond its natural state, because then it could shift it and it would bunch and gather in a way you don't want it to. So just let it do what it's supposed to do with the fabric. As long as you're using this technique, it'll be fine. Okay, get rid of this curve. Oh, and I'll do the other two and fast forward, just so you can still see them. Ta-da! So now the top is done. I'm going to take you back over to the cutting mat. Basically do the same process whenever I clip the bottom on, and then we're going to... So now I have this here, and then this. I sewed just like I did with the sides right here, 1/2 inch, and I finger pressed here to where I know where the quarter marks are, and then now I'm just going to match it up again. So here... Clip right here. And I'm nesting those two seams One's going that way, one's going that way, just so that it's smooth. And this will go in the center. Right here. And this is going to go on another seam. Right here. And then one more center where the folds are. So now this is clipped, and I'm going to use the same exact technique and go over to my sewing machine and then complete this half of the hat. So now I'm back over here, and I'm going to start the same way. So I have the bulk of the hat on the bottom and the brim on the top. I'm going to start just shy of this clip and get it started. More than likely, you won't need tweezers because this is a more narrow curve. And they should line up just fine. Yeah. Easy, breezy pudding pie. Right here, just make sure that the bottom is flat before you sew. And the raw ends are halfway done. I'll fast forward now. Okay, just kidding. There's one more step that I'm going to go ahead and do on this one, just because it's bulkier right here, is I'm going to sew this seam down by folding it. And I'm going to edge stitch here. Let me start edge stitching on here, and I'll show you after in case you're not following where I'm going. But the seam I'm putting over there, and I'm going to stitch it in place with the machine right here. So I'm top stitching probably 1/8 of an inch that way. I'm just going to go around and maneuver it with my fingers. If you wanted to pin this before and use an iron to press it, go for it. But I got skills, they're multiplying. And then back stitch, boom, boom, boom. Right here, and I can already tell the band looks so much more clean having this stitch here and there. And then this is what the inside looks like. See, that is just secure down. This is towards the top, and it's not going to get in the way whenever we're sewing the brim. So now let's go back over to my cutting mat, and I'll show you how to. I have the two hats done right here, and now I'm just going to put them right sides together and clip the seams together right here. And then like that. And then clip this other one. And that's all I'm gonna clip. If you wanna clip more, go for it, but I know that I sewed these good. So there's that. And then what I'm going to do is at a 1/2 inch seam allowance, I'm going to sew around the edge, sewing these two together. Then I'm gonna leave like a 2 or 3 inch opening so that I can bring it right side out. And then we'll be pretty close to done. So I have these two. I'm gonna start right about here. And just sew like this, all the way around the edge. This. There we go, and then just back stitch. And then I'm going to turn it right side out, press this, and then come back and do some more stitching. Okay, I didn't feel like getting up, so I just turned the camera around. And see, I'm pulling it through this, if this is your first time ever seeing it. Dun, 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 dun. It's riveting. It's so exciting. because then it like becomes like a real thing. And it's kind of neat. So now you got this, right? Ta-da! Then you stick one inside of the other. And then the only thing we have left to do is to sew up the brim. But let me show you what I was talking about. Okay, so there's a gap. Ew! But whenever you press it, you're going to press it like that. See? Like that. It's where it's going to flatten out. And then you're going to flatten out the rest of this. I'm not going to show you all ironing on here, but see? Just flatten it out, and I'm going to flatten out the brim, make sure that they're good to go, and then I'm going to come back over and finish what I've got to do on Felicia. Seam. It's ready to go. The rest of the seam is crispy. So now I'm just going to get started. I always like to start my sewing on a seam. So I'm going to edge stitch all the way around. And I'll get you through the wonky piece. So as close to the edge as possible, making sure that you get both the top and the bottom layers in there. So now we're getting to this. So if you wanted to clip it, here, I'm gonna clip it just so y'all know. Clip, look what I did. So there, but then just make sure it's all in there. The cleaner you can do this, the less cleanup you'll have to do after. And you want this to be right on the edge. Do you see it? Do you see it? Let me show you how close I'm getting. Close right there. And then once that's done, it's smooth sailing. So now I'll fast forward. And then, for all intents and purposes, you could be done. But with this style, there are lines all the way up the brim, and that adds some structure to it. So I'm gonna go ahead. I moved it over to the original 1 position, and then now I'm just gonna keep stitching around in a circle. And I'm using this edge. It's about a 1/2 inch. So I'm using this edge right here just to get it. I'm getting close again so you can see it. You see where I'm getting in? I'm just following this stitch line right around the edge. Like so, and now I'll bring it out wide, and then I'll fast forward through this. And now I'm just going to keep doing it until I get as close to the band as possible. I'll get this started. I won't show you all of it, but that's what I'm going to do. So yay! Now I'm finished with this. I can give this hat back to Helena. And then, boom, look at this one. Ta-da! Yeah! Yeah! I look pretty dapper. I dig it. And it's got a wide brim. I'm good. The bucket on my head. I'm going to be the most stylish fisherman in our local fishing spot whenever we go outside. So, boom. 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 Reversible. So if you enjoyed this video, got a laugh or a tip or a trick, or are super duper excited to make this bucket hat for yourself, your friends, your family, anyone, then make sure to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and keep it positive. Mr. Domestic out.